All right, thank you. Thanks for getting that working. As was mentioned, my name is Kent Sutcliffe. I'm the West Region Scan Coordinator for USDA NRCS, and I want to acknowledge a couple other folks in the audience who helped put this presentation together. First is Dave Hoover. He's the National Soil. Suddenly, we're at a Grateful Dead concert.
Try that one more time. I wasn't sharing out online either. I had to come up anyway. So I'm just taking more time from Kent.
Okay, so as I was saying, Dave Hoover's in the audience. He's the director of the National Soil Survey Center, and I also have an employee here, a team member, Joel Burley. He's also in the audience. So thanks for your contributions with that. No dad joke today. I don't have enough time, so I've got quite a few slides, and I need to get going. Hopefully, if I can move this along, we can have some time for questions. Anyway, so today I want to talk about my favorite subject, the Soil Climate Analysis Network. We'll talk about the background a little bit, where we're at now and where we're headed. And then there's also a bonus feature that you didn't know you were getting, and that's going to be a quick update of the SNOTEL network, our sister network. Most of you know this probably pretty well, but if you don't, SCAN was initiated in 1991 as a national pilot study with 25 sites. The idea was to complement the work that NRCS does with our core customers, the producers, private producers of the US. So the intent was to improve irrigation efficiency and rangeland productivity, to act as a conservation information support tool, with also a nod to long-term drought and climate monitoring. In short, I'll keep talking. Hopefully the slide will come up. In short, SCAN is it's an on-farm or farm-adjacent weather station with also a full suite of below-ground soil sensors. You'll see that. So those all SCAN sites have 5 soil sensors at the fixed depths of 2, 4, 8, 20, and 40 inches. And a standard suite of above ground sensors also, including the pyranometer, air temp, an RH sensor, anemometer, and a tipping bucket. All right, that was the brief overview. Right now, the network stands at 210 sites. That's one more than last year. We did 1 site last year. We're installing 3 new sites this year. These are all 4 are the result of a BLM agreement that we have with BLM in California. We also have 22 T-SCAN sites. So hooray, a new acronym to learn. T-SCAN's an easy one. It stands for Tribal Scan. Tribal Scan was an effort from NRCS. A little bit different than SCAN. The sites are like SCAN Light, lighter components, lighter footprint, and so forth, because the intent was, sorry, it's distracting to see things moving. I'll keep going though, because I've got a lot. Anyway, T-SCAN, the intent of T-SCAN was to bring STEM education opportunities to our underserved customers. As I mentioned, I'm Kent. I'm in the Salt Lake City office, but I work for the Soil Plant and Science Division, as does Joel. We have a management analyst. She's the back-end guru. Her name is Sherry, and she's in Salt Lake as well. Notice she's supported by the National Water and Climate Center, which is our group in Portland that runs the SNOTEL network. There's also, of course, a slew of partial FTE folks supporting SCAN's success or future success, both at the National Water Climate Center, and there's a typo in the last line there. That should be the Soil Plant and Science division. So last year I had the luxury of presenting on 5 different ways to get and obtain SCAN data. I don't have the time today, but I wanted to highlight this tool for a couple of reasons. This is a decision support tool developed by a group out of Cornell. They both develop the tools and host the website. And I wanted to mention it for two reasons. One is that we had a mini victory and we were able to re-up the contract with them. And if you work for the federal government, you know what that means in terms of being an accomplishment. But the other thing is that it's an amazing tool in terms of being able to take all these hourly data and from that data create real information that our producers can use. So, you know, I've been with NRCS about 27 years. I feel like we're always in this state where we're data rich and information poor. This is a great tool to counter that, I guess. So for any site that's working, you can pull it in and run any one of these different interpretations and tools. I think maybe because of the information that we're interested in as a group, the water deficit calculator would be of primary interest, but there's some great opportunities to display and analyze weather and different indices. So mini victory. Okay. New and improved. So we've actually done quite a lot in a year since my update at Ohio State. One of the things we're doing moving forward, because a lot of our sites are in super wet environments, a lot of corrosion and weathering, we're moving to a stainless steel NEMA box in those locations with a standard, or in all locations eventually, excuse me, with a standard wiring format. So we get two things. We get a more robust enclosure, better humidity management, I guess three things, and a standard wiring schema, which we haven't had in the past. That'll allow for much easier troubleshooting over the phone and so forth. So a lot of things last year were new. Not all of them were improved. We ran into several issues with our two main soil sensor manufacturers. They both experienced COVID-related supply chain issues, one with labor, the availability of labor, and one with counterfeit components that went out in a large batch of sensors that they didn't know they had. We found out, I think we were maybe the first and definitely the biggest entity to show them that there was an issue, but unfortunately not before we deployed up to 60 of these defective sensors. So we're still digging out from that, pun intended for sure. But it's really hard to understate the impact that these issues had on us, especially given the tiny size of our support staff. For instance, we shipped a pallet of 700 pounds worth of soil sensors to one vendor twice. So just doing that was a lot of work, but we're turning the corner. I think we've got some good working sensors from both companies now. We're testing 3 new sensors, and we plan on deploying 2 of those new sensors by the end of the year. This is a huge step forward. I'm super excited. As Tilden mentioned previously, this gives us a couple tools in the toolbox. If we have a really high bulk dielectric, we can choose from a different sensor instead of the standard sensor that scans relied on for many, many years, since 1991. We're making other changes at the site as well. Since 1991, scan sites have had a tipping bucket mounted on a horizontal pole on the tower. This has been problematic from day one because in high wind situations, get high harmonic vibration in the tower, and that can cause phantom tips, particularly above 40 miles an hour, wind speed rather. So we're moving all of our tipping buckets down to the ground on a concrete post. And when we do that, we're adding an alter shield to help improve the undercatch that occurs in high wind precipitation events. Tilden mentioned that in the previous presentation. Also, NRCS as an agency is divorcing itself from meteor burst technology. And there are a bunch of reasons for that. I won't go into them, but I'm super excited to be done with the comically large antenna at every site that's way up at the top of the tower. And that's just allowed wind to do a lot of work on the site, just working the site over and over and aging them quickly. Perhaps though, the most exciting and important change that happened this year is that, and it was a recent change, NRCS is committed to converting all the T-scan sites to scan sites. To do this, we've actually already solicited a new position for a tribal liaison. We have a panel actually of qualified candidates, so that's exciting. And we've been given priority for 4 new positions. Hopefully we can leverage IRA money to do that. In doing so, we hope to honor a 2-year time frame and not only convert the sites, but also follow up on those STEM commitments, arrange for or directly follow up on those STEM commitments that were made when T-scan was implemented. All right, future direction. We have several positions open. I've alluded to those already. We have the tribal position that we'll have filled shortly. We also have a scan soil scientist like Joel in our Salt Lake office, so another one. We have the 4 priority positions. There's potentially another position through NWCC, but we're not just thinking inside the staffing plan box. We're trying to do anything we can for help to assist the network moving forward, including detailees, 2 of which are starting at the end of the month, fantastic individuals, and also partial support positions with existing SPSD staff. Trailers are going to be a big part of this. All you need to know is that they're not just a trailer, they're a waterproof and secure transportation and storage solution. Okay, I have just a couple of minutes to talk about SNOTEL. The relevancy of SNOTEL may not be immediately obvious to this group, but it's important to bring this up, and you'll see why. So SNOTEL is a sister network that exists in the 13 Western states. It stands for snow telemetry. So these replace the manual snow surveys that were done throughout the West in the past. The intent is not as an on-farm decision support tool, but as a weather station on steroids specifically to measure the weight of the snowpack. Okay, sorry about that. This is a picture of a SNOTEL site. I'm sure most of you haven't been to one, especially folks in the East. Quick note, this is in Utah. You can probably, this is an average year picture, but this year the snow covered the shelter and nearly buried the precip gauge. We had a huge year in the Wasatch. Okay, so as the SNOTEL program has matured, we've gotten a lot of questions about the data and inquiries into adding new sensors, especially from the avalanche and research communities. So NRCS is responding to that by creating a super site network. So these are like supercharged regular SNOTEL sites. They'll have an array of new and better sensors or supplementary sensors. Right now, we have 10 test sites selected across 5 states to get all the enhanced sensors. And this is a big effort. It's a lot of work to keep these working in areas that get 500 inches of snow. All right, last slide. Again, I wanted to circle back to the relevance. Although SNOTEL sites are restricted to just the 13 Western states, there are 900 sites. It is a big network, and they are in high elevation environments, typically not ones that are well characterized. And specific to this group, almost 490 of these SNOTEL sites have soil sensors. So there's a lot of data out there that you may not be aware of. Okay. Questions? I don't know if I've got time.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yeah, is your conclusion?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
I was
okay. No, that's
hustling
great.
with
All right, let's give a quick round of applause. And we have time for one or two questions. Sure. Any questions, Carolyn?
Ken, you did a great job managing the video craziness. And I'm also very impressed with the changes in the SCAN program, in part with the added funding and the additional staff. And I'm sure that's due to you and Dave and many of the others here. My question is, you mentioned that the meteor burst technology was going to be removed, and what are you going to replace that with?
That's a great question, Carolyn. So scan is now 100% either goes or cell. We are far and away a cell network, about 15%, 12% are on goes satellite. Snowtel also uses Iridium, specifically the sites up in Alaska, but it's those three. We're almost there. We're going to decommission the master stations this fall, so.
Anyone else? One more, Elise.
With the Snowtel sites additionally getting soil moisture, are there any plans to compare across the scan and the Snowtel networks and start thinking on kind of like cross ecosystem type to agricultural soil moisture balances, like across large areas?
There are lots of research opportunities. Right now, we're in full production mode, and we haven't done that necessarily. The data collection office, so the Snowtel office in Salt Lake City that I used to belong to for a decade, has done a little bit of that, and we do put out a monthly report that includes both scan and Snowtel data. We call it the Climate and Water Report, in addition to the spring-based water supply outlook reports. So kind of the state, we testify a lot in the legislature at the state of Utah Capitol, but there's a lot of opportunity there. That's
Great.
why we wanted to mention it here.